Okay, we are working on getting our hives ready for winter. So what I'm doing is taking off this screen top and putting a solid inner cover. I've got 4 hives I need to do this to. You can see that one over there that has the yellow above the green. There's another one over there that I've got to take that top kind of brownish box. You can see the 2 holes over there. Those are screened boxes that are designed to cool the hive out. But at the end of the week, over the next few days, we're supposed to have some evening temperatures in the 30s. I think one night this weekend it's supposed to be like 32 or something like that, or not 32, 33. So anyway, I'm replacing those as I have a little time each evening before dark. Plus time changes this weekend, and after that it'll be dark when I get home from work. So I'm trying to literally make hay, if you will, while the sun shines. Okay, so I loosen up the lid. I'll lift it off. Set it down here and let the bees go back inside. And I'm going to put a solid lid on. Actually, what I'll do this weekend, I'm going to come back in here. There are not a lot of bees up here in the top. I'm probably going to reduce it down this weekend. And one of the reasons I wanted to open it to see how much is in there. Again, you don't have just tons of bee coverage up here. So what I'm going to probably do is get rid of this box. I think I can take anything in this box they're using and move it down. I like to reduce them down before winter so they have less to try to heat during the winter. Okay, as I look at this box, there's hardly anything up top. So I may not have time today to do it, but I will probably end up reducing this down. You see they haven't even eaten the pollen patty I put in here. So what I'm going to do is probably reduce this box down as well. Now that'll only make 1 box, so I've got to go through this when I have a little more daylight. But I just don't see much bee coverage up here, and so what that means is my queen is kind of slowing down her production. Now I'm going to feed them through the winter, so I'm going to make sure they have food. But one thing that will impact whether or not I reduce this hive is I'm going to need to go in this weekend and see, do they have food substance in this upper box? Do they have the bees to warm up the box? I need to see what my bee numbers look like. But for now, I'm going to put this lid on. At least I can get that done for now when it gets cold, and I can come back and do the other stuff later. Things I'll notice here, these are new Swiffer sheets I put in, I don't know, a couple of weeks ago. But you can see right there, those are it's like 3 hive beetles that were caught in that Swiffer sheet. So it's doing its job. You can see a little bit. I've got some bee coverage, looks like on this one and this one, a little bit on this one. Looks like most of the rest of these are empty. Okay, I pulled the outside frame on this side, and what I notice is there's not really anything on this side, but I do have some bee bread scattered on the outside, and that's basically pollen mixed with nectar. Right in this upper box, I had 1 frame. They haven't done anything to it. This one here does have capped honey in it. So it's not fully covered, but I'd guess 75% of it, at least on one side, is capped. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to see while they're calm It looks like 1, 2, maybe 3 frames here have some honey in them. What I may try to do, they seem pretty calm this evening, and I've got a little bit of light yet. I'm going to look real quickly and make sure how many of these frames have something on them. And then I'm going to see if there's openings in the bottom to put them in the bottom and get rid of this box, and it'll make it so much easier for them to cool the hive this winter. Now they do have a little bit, let me look over here. You have a few flowers. This is our little flower box with some lantana and rosemary and sage, but we also have some aster that's still blooming. I don't know how much of that we'll have left after this weekend. The point I'm trying to make is they're going to be slowing down their pollen intake, especially if we get down into the low 30s pretty regularly. Notice again, it's like about 3 more hive beetles that were caught in that Swiffer. Full of capped honey. Darker fall honey in the middle. Like some lighter summer honey on the outside. Same thing over here. Darker in the middle, lighter on the outside. Darker honey is typically a little bit stronger tasting. Let's look at what the next frame shows us. Like we've got some capped honey. It looks like there's some uncapped right in there, you can see. I see 1 hive beetle right in there. And when I've got empty frames upstairs, not populated by bees, I also tend to have a few more hive beetles hiding up there. You don't want unattended spaces. When you got parts of the hive that can't be tended by bees, you're more apt to have hive beetles. It looks to me like I've got 5 of the 10 frames in the top of this box have honey in them. It's like this one too has a little on the inside. Been very calm so far. I'm very grateful. Out here without my hood. Didn't necessarily mean to do this much, but they're calm and I need to know. Honey on that side, really mostly just one side. All right, so it looks to me like those 3, these 2, these 5 frames, they need to stay with the colony. What I've got to do is figure out are there 5 slots open down there where I can move them down and reduce them down to 1 box to get them ready for winter. Okay, I took the top box off. I'm going to look through this box and see if I've got 5 open frames. Okay, so far I have found 3 open frames that do not have a lot in them, so I'll keep looking. I don't think this one does either. This colony, They have really slowed down for the winter. She has really cut back on her laying. There's just a pinch of pollen in there, or excuse me, of nectar, but just not much at all. So I think I can pull that. Let's see what this next one looks like. The smaller colonies are a little calmer anyway. They've been very gracious today. Let's see if I can do this one without getting them all tore up. As I get closer to the queen, a little more grumpy and protective they get. There is a lot going on that one. You can see there's a little nectar right there. Okay, I've got pretty good bee coverage on these 4. I'm not going to open them. I'll just leave it like it is. This one has about a third of it has capped honey. This doesn't have anything on this side, but you can see pretty good bit of bee coverage on this side. There's a little bit of honey there. Probably could replace this one and be okay. Down in the bottom while I can. There's a beetle barn in here, but I believe it's over in that front corner. So let's go ahead and move some of these frames from this one to this one and get this thing down to 1 box. All right, you can see I've got one more frame. Has a decent amount of capped honey on it. It has more than this one frame here. It has quite a few bees on it. So here's what I've decided I'm going to do. There's just a little honey on that. I'm going to take this and move it down here. Then I'm going to put this top box back on with just a few frames. Give them a chance to decide if they want to do something with this. And then I'll come back and remove the box. I'm going to go ahead and put this inner lid on it to kind of help them with the cold spells. We're still having warm days, but we're starting to have like some cold nights. And like next week, I think we're going to have some, 33 to 39 at night. And that's why I want to get this inner lid on. But it's obvious this hive is, slowing down. It had 2 packed boxes at one point in the summer, but you can see the bees would all fit in 1 box now. I'm going to experiment just a little bit. What I'm going to do is I'm going to, since it's getting a little colder this weekend, see some moths trying to get in there. What I'm going to do is most of the colonies in that bottom, I have 3 frames up here that just have a pinch of food in them. One of these has a little bit of pollen in it, really a bee breath, pollen mixed with nectar. And then there's another frame. This one has just a little bit of capped honey. I mean, just very little. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to try something. I'm just going to put this top back on, but I'm going to basically have 2 inner lids. When it drops down cold this weekend, this should keep the main colony cool. We're also, before the cold comes in, going to have a couple of days of rain. They will have access to the food in these 2 upper frames. And then when I come back in this weekend, I'll remove that upper box. It'll be set up just to function as a single box. If there's still a little food in this, then I may drop it in another hive. It won't go to waste, but we're going to try that and see how it works. The bees were pretty calm tonight. In fact, very calm tonight. That's often the case with a smaller colony. Because of that, I was able to go in and do some work I didn't expect to do. I was planning to just come down here and replace some of my cooling lids with solid lids, and I was able to do that on 2 hives, but I ended up reducing down one of the boxes and reducing down one of the hives. So I have it almost completely down to 1 box, and I'll come back on Saturday and completely reduce it down. As I'm trying to get them ready for winter, I'm trying to get rid of all of the hardware that cooled down the hive so that it won't prevent them from heating the hive in the winter. And then also I'm trying to reduce them down to a few boxes as I can so that they don't have as much territory to heat during the winter. But I also have to make sure I leave them, all the honey, all the food I can. But of course, I will supplemental feed them all through the winter. Thanks for joining me with Brother B's Bees.